Best of r/entitled parents episode 55. I used to work as a ride operator at Pacific Park, the pier with the roller coaster in GTA 5, and there was one ride they used to have with a little plane that could be controlled by the kids. The ride could seat up to 4 children, however we rarely mixed guests from different groups in the same plane. Depending on how crowded it was, we would only seat one child per plane so their parents could take pictures, and the kid can have their fun. It's not very entertaining sitting and letting another kid drive it. On rare occasions we would ask the child if they would mind sitting with someone else, and then we ask their parents as well to make extra sure it's okay. One busy day I was working at this ride and doing like 1,000 things at once. I had up to 6 or so kids in line and all planes were full each round. I also had to count the minutes the ride would go on for and stop it manually. And on top of that keep an eye on all surroundings and each kid in each plane. There wasn't much room for looking away from the ride since a kid can unbuckle themselves and fly out at any time if I don't keep my eye on them. One round I was able to buckle up all the kids and run over to the control panel to turn it on before I was suddenly stopped by an EF putting his hand in front of me. I asked him to move, but he assures me that I still need to put his daughter in the ride as well. He points to a young girl standing next to him, not even in line. I then pointed to the end of the line telling him he needs to wait after all these people. He instantly got upset and gestures to this little boy alone in one of the planes asking why I can't just put her with him. I told him the explanation of why he is alone while I started the ride, since him stopping me was already making the line longer. As I was explaining, he would snap his fingers at me trying to take my attention away from the ride. He said, "Oh, so you won't let her sit next to that boy because she's black?" I shook my head, not even sure what to say. He then walked over to all the people in line and starts yelling about how I am racist and a KKK member and harassing them. I immediately picked up the phone and called the ride office. I asked for a specific manager to come over as soon as possible. As he's blabbing on, the ride ends and I get all the kids off safely. Once I close the gate, he starts to send his child through the line to the front. I just asked her to stand back and let the other kids on who was already patiently waiting. The EF just started to yell louder until my manager, who happened to be black, came over to help with security not far behind. The EF goes off on him saying I'm a white slut, a racist, a KKK member, and that he shouldn't have hired me. My manager didn't get a word in for a while and just listened. Once the EF said all he could, my manager simply says, "You know, being a racist towards the other side won't move this society forward in any way. My employee is not only nothing of how you described, but I have full confidence in her that she did what she could to help you before you harassed her." Before the EF could even say anything back, the security gently escorted him away, tail between his legs. The whole line clapped and I was so happy to know I worked for a company that would always have my back and knows exactly who they are hiring. Thank you. Next. This just happened. To be honest, I'm not mad or anything. It was kinda funny actually. So please don't insult my mom. At least not over this, haha. TL. Doctor at the bottom. First thing to establish, my mom doesn't like chocolate. She's always made sure to let me know how much she hates it. Every time she sees me eating one, she makes comments like, "That's super unhealthy. You shouldn't be eating that." And when I offer her some, she always rejects it and reminds me that she doesn't like chocolate. Anyway, we had just finished dinner and I wanted something sweet. We never have proper dessert when she's with us because she hates sugar, and I remembered I had some small pieces left of a delicious Milka, my favorite chocolate my best friend, Lily, brought me from Europe. It can be found in my country but it is ridiculously expensive, like $10, so it's really rare for me to have it. I went to my room for my chocolate and returned to the living room. I had only 6 pieces left, so I gave 2 to my sister. She was really happy and ate it immediately. I didn't offer any to my mom because I know she doesn't like it. I proceeded to eat 2 pieces and when I was about to eat a 3rd piece it went like this. What are you 2 eating? Me. Oh, some chocolate I had left. Why didn't you offer me any? Me. Well, I know you hate it. Give me a piece. My sis and me, at the same time, please. There's another post in my profile where we went through this please issue. She never says please. Rolls her eyes in a sarcastic tone. Ugh, please. I offered her the piece I had in my hand and she snatched it away. I thought she only wanted to taste it, so I didn't even think to save the last piece for her, and I ate it. As I was gnawing on my delicious last piece. Oh my god, this chocolate is delicious. It is really amazing. Like, the best I have ever tried. Me, really confused. I'm glad you liked it. No, seriously, I love it. What's its name? Me, Milka. How come I have never seen it before? Sister, it's from Europe. Lily bought it for Tomori. Me, points at the package. Is that the package? Can I see it? I want to read it. Me, sure. Hands it over. Disappointed it's empty. Me, yeah, I didn't have much left. Why would you give me the empty package? Me, because you asked for it. But I wanted more chocolate. Me, I thought you didn't like chocolate. Ugh, whatever. Throws the package to the floor. She was pouting until she got distracted by the TV show we were watching. My sister and I just laughed and then we got distracted too. I'm not angry and it's not a big deal. Actually, I was just confused by her behavior about mere chocolate. Thanks for reading. TL. Doctor, got mad because I didn't offer her chocolate even though she doesn't like it. Edit. TL. Doctor and formatting. Thank you. Next. I am not a full-time Redditor, but I was told by one of my Redditor friends that I can share my story here. Sorry for my poor English. Sorry, it's rather a boring story, so I don't know if you guys would enjoy, but here it is. I am 19, an engineering student, freshman, here in my country Bangladesh. Getting enrolled in a public university is huge. People will literally worship you if you get yourself into a public uni. Even parents are willing to pay loads of cash just to get a public uni student as their home tutor. I don't really want to teach kids as I am not very good with kids. I can't interact with them so well. But since childhood I was kinda freedom loving, like I didn't want my parents to buy me expensive items. I wasted to buy them all by myself with my own earnings. My mother liked it so much and even encouraged me. Since I was 15 I had been saving money to buy a phone. My mom used to add some money in my savings without letting know. She knew letting me know would kill my inspiration. I knew all this as my dad told me when I was in college and I had an argument with her, and was absolutely my fault, and my dad wanted me to apologize to her, which I did. Sorry if the story is getting big. So during freshman year I had to upgrade my computer and I wanted to do it with my own earnings, so I thought teaching someone would be a good way to earn some cash. Again, as I said, I am not into teaching kids, especially not under 14, as they are hard to deal for me. My mom somehow arranged a tuition for me and it was a 7th grader, 14. Sigh. But hey, they were ready to give me almost $200, which was nice. So I took the opportunity. And here we go. The horror was waiting for me fully dressed up. It was October when I went there for the first time. Their house wasn't very far from my, most likely 200-300 meters, so the lady, I will call her entitled mother, as this subreddit prefers, and the kid as entitled brat. So my first conversation with went like this. So are you the tutor? Me, yup. You can teach, right? Me, I will try my best. Look, not everyone can teach my honey. If you can't teach him you should let me know right away. We don't have time to waste. Me, don't worry, I will let you know. BTW, can I meet him? He's busy, playing games. You know kids, right? Me, yup, sure, but a small conversation with him would be good. I have to know him if I am going to teach him. Calling for his child. Mom, I can't come now, shouting from his room. So she took me into his room to meet with him. Me, hey, completely denied my existence. Mom, I don't have time to meet any random stranger now. I am playing games. He's your new home teacher. Tell him to come tomorrow. You heard the boy, you can start from tomorrow. Now after that awkward conversation I was getting red flags that this wasn't the right place to teach, as it was my first conversation with this family, so I ignored her ego and kids misbehave and tried to stay as polite as possible, but that lady has some serious ego issues. But I decided to teach that brat anyway. Little did I know what was waiting for me. So, next day I went there. Told me to sit there, so I did. Was waiting for that. God, 1 hour went by and no sign of that kid. Also I was getting annoyed waiting, but after 1 hour 5EB came dragging EB with her and forced him to sit with me so I could teach him, which I tried. Oh boy, I tried. This kid was still ignoring my existence and was drawing on his book. Teaching isn't an easy process. After 2 hours of trying to at least put some data in his head, I failed miserably and went home. He was acting the same for several days. By this I was getting annoyed. Like, how can I teach someone who didn't have any intention to be taught? Now by far I had been teaching this kid. Well, at least was trying to teach this kid for like 14 days and I highly doubt he had learnt a single word. So I had this watch, which I loved so much. My friend gave me this as a gift. On our last day of college, we, friends, gave each other gifts to remember each other as we were going our own ways. While I was teaching and he was drawing on the wall, he noticed my watch. He tried to snatch it. Again, he's a kid, so I gave him the watch. I thought giving him the watch would make a little more sincere, but no. Big mistake part 1. The moment I gave him my watch, he slapped it against the floor. It got shattered. EM came running hearing the noise. EM, oh my god. Honey, don't move, you will get hurt. EB, mom, he tried to beat me. EM, to me, what you think you are doing? Me, that was my watch. EM, so, me, he broke it. EM, you are teaching a kid. How dare you wear a watch? Look, if you try to hurt my honey, EM, by any means you will regret. Now, at this moment I completely lost my will to teach that kid. I was angry. I could feel my anger inside, raging. I just walked out from that house. Made up my mind. Fuck money, I am not going there anymore. Went home. I had that watch for like 4 months only. I was kinda sad for few days. Like 3-4 days went by. I didn't go there. Here came the call. EM, hello, where the heck are you? Me, sorry, I am not coming there. EM, what do you mean? Me, that I won't teach your kid anymore. EM, how dare you? We pay you. I demand you to come. NOWWWW. Me, sorry, keep your money. I don't want to teach your kid. EM, what? He has exams coming up. Me, sorry, I can't help. You better hire another teacher. EM, I knew it. You didn't want to see my honey pass the exams. Me, mom, I tried my best to teach your son. EM, she was screaming at this point. I couldn't even hear a word she was saying. I hung up. She called my mom crying, told her that I misbehaved, that her son was gonna fail because of me, that I should take responsibility. My mother, being good as always, forced me to teach that devil kid until exams over. Sigh. I thought to give it another chance. Big mistake part 2. So, I went there on exam night. I was trying, actually was dying teaching that kid. I was putting my soul in just to teach him a match. This kid used to shout whenever I would say this math is very important. It's gonna be in your exam. Whenever I said something like this, he used to shout, Mom, bring my phone, or Mom, I am hungry, or Mom, I am bored. He did the same that day also. He shouted, Mom, I am hungry. The maid came, brought some foods and a knife. As I was begging this kid to at least do 3 maths, he was cutting the fruits and throwing them on my face. I had enough. I tried to take the fruits and knives away from his hand. He then grabbed the knife and stabbed the middle finger of my right hand. I was bleeding. Blood was dripping on their white sofa, which I was sitting on. The kid started screaming as if I stabbed him. EB, Mom, MOMMMM. EM came running. EM, God, what happened? EB, Mom, he tried to stab me. EM, get away from there. My sofa is getting dirty. Their sofa was white. BTW. EB, started crying. EM, get outside of my house. Don't let my son see blood. I never seen such live action drama in my life. I had my hand stabbed and this lady was worried that her sofa will get dirty. I was kicked outside. It took some time for my brain to proceed what had just happened. I was still bleeding. The cut was deep. I could see my bones and was also hurting. As my home was nearer than closest hospital, I rushed home to apply some first aid. Mom opened door and screamed. When she asked, I told everything, and I was a bit annoyed with my mom, thinking it was her fault pushing me to teach that kid. We went to hospital right away. Doctor said it wasn't critical, but my bones were fractured and it will take some time to completely heal. All this was happening, so I didn't got the chance to look at my mom's face, but when I did, Boy oh boy, I knew exactly what was coming. He was a raging fireball. She went there next morning. I went with her just in case she doesn't do something serious, but I knew I was up for a show. She knocked at their door. EM opened the door. Mom went inside pushing her aside. EM, excuse me. Mom, pointing her finger towards my hand, was bandaged. BTW, what is this? EM, it's your son's fault Mom. Your son stabbed my son's hand. And you didn't even offer him first aid. EM, my son is afraid of blood and your son tried to beat him. Mom, you are not allowed to be a mother. You are not even allowed to be a human. EM, how dare you? You are in my house. I will get you arrested. Mom slapped her across the face. They had that huge TV, which they bought while I was a tutor there. Mom walked towards it, uncooked. I don't know the proper word. It from the wall and let it kiss the ground. It shuddered. Then Mom said to EM, that was for my son's watch. Get me arrested. That was the coolest moment of that day. We went home afterwards. EM didn't even said a single word after that slap. I told her how she was so cool and laughed at stuffs. Mom knew exactly how much I loved that watch. Mom, if you are reading this, I love you more than that watch. They filed case against us which we ended up winning. Thank goodness my uncle is a lawyer. They lost quite a cash in court fees and other charges. Thank you. Next. Okay, first of all I'll give you some context also on mobile. I take the bus most mornings when my parents can't drop me off to college, and I recently decided to take my switch for my homies so we can enjoy Miracut. The bus drivers are really nice and they usually drive the same bus for months, so if you piss them off, you're not going to have a great time if you plan to take the bus in the coming months. Cast, M, Miek, Crotch Goblin M, Dumb Bitch Driver, Bus Driver. Now you're caught up, let's start. So it's a normal Monday morning at around 7:30 AM. I get on the bus and sit down. I go on my switch because it's a long 40 minutes ride, so I have time to play some games. 2 stops later M and Ek get on and I don't think much of it. Around 2 minutes later I hear the Ek ask the M if he can take my switch and she says go ahead honey, just ask nicely. The following convo takes place. Ek, can I have a go? M, no sorry I can't let you on. Ek, why? I asked politely. M, because this is my switch and I'm not trusting random strangers with it. Ek, but I'm just a kid. What can go wrong with me having it? M, you can break it and delete some of my games on accident. Ek, give it. M, no. The Ek then attempts to snatch the switch and nearly broke a part of it. M, hey, I said you can't have it. It doesn't belong to you. M, stop screaming at my baby. Ek, whispers to me, after my mum is done you will give me a turn. M, okay whatever kid. M, what did you just say to my baby? M, calm down, I just said he can't go on my switch. M, why? He asked politely and the switch is for people his age. M, he can't have it because he almost just broke it and the game I'm playing is rated 12+. It also costs £330. M, so? You can get it replaced now, give it to him before I threw you off the bus. At this point the driver has enough of this bees and intervenes. M, WTF. Why is the bus stopping? Driver, it's your stop mom. M, no it's not. My stop is a few stops from here. Driver, not with that attitude. Now get off. M to M, you heard him. Can I have my switch back? M, what? Driver, mom, there are cameras on this bus and I have witnessed your actions, so just get off the bus before the police are involved. M, what crime have I committed? Driver, you harassed this young man and you just attempted to steal his switch. Are you going to get off or should I call the police? M turns white and quickly takes her crotch goblin with her. Driver radios other drivers warning them of the M. He then asks me if I'm having fun and congratulates me for standing up for myself. Thanks for reading. Thank you. Next. So as a background, I'm a 27-year-old female and I'm engaged to a 26-year-old female, so an obvious adult that can make my own choices, right? Right. When I first found out that I had to get my gallbladder removed, I told my family the date just to let them know. When I told my mom, while picking her up from work, she turns around and tells her work that she needs that day off. Confused, I ask her, why are you calling off that day? And she gave me a look and said, you think I won't be there for my daughter on the day of her surgery? And when I gave a confused look and replied with no, It's just gallbladder surgery. It's not that deep. She tells me to shut up and that she's going. After a few days of talking to my sister, among others, about how I didn't really want people besides my fiancé there, I look up the distance between just going to the hospital and picking up my mom before going to the hospital. If my love and I just go, it takes 16 minutes to get there. If I pick up my mom, she doesn't drive. Before going, we are driving away from the hospital to get her and it will take around 36 minutes to get there. So I get the courage to tell her that we can pick her up, and she says that she doesn't like it, but okay. My sister also tries to explain that I don't really want a lot of people there and that I just really want my love with me. When it gets closer to the date, the nurses tell me that they are strict about who gets to be with me. Absolutely no sick people, or non-blood relations, or extended family. Basically they only want close healthy family. I also explain this to my mom, who has been sick the past few weeks, off and on, and she agreed it's for my health. Day of surgery. All goes great. My love is there with me and is taking great care of me. My family/friends is calling and checking on me, so that's it's right. My sister texted me a day or so after surgery and told me that our mother called her, and here's the conversation that she sent me. So, mom called me yesterday when she got home. The very start of the conversation she starts talking about calling up to the hospital to see where you were at. She was going to take the bus to the hospital. However, the nurse on the phone heard mom coughing and said she wasn't allowed up there, and mom told her she was only coughing cause of her allergies. The nurse told her it didn't matter, that she couldn't go up there, and if she did she would be asked to leave. I mentioned to mom how you said you didn't want anyone up there but your love. Mom said she knows, but she's mom and she wanted to be there, and it's hard for your baby to be going through something like surgery and not be up there with them. She also said that she would have waited down in the waiting room and not go up to where you were. I told her I fully understand what it feels like to be a mom. I kind of have 3 kids, you know, but you said you didn't want anyone else up there but your love, and so she should respect your wishes, and even if she waited in the waiting room and not go to where you were, that would still be considered not respecting your wishes. Later in the conversation she backtracked and said she probably wouldn't have even went up there, because she started thinking about it and stuff, and if she truly was going to go up there then she would have just went without calling the hospital first. It was just really hard for her not being there and she was really worried. She probably didn't want me telling you though. LOL, so don't say anything to her. That's a quote from my sister that she sent me. I only took out my fiancé's name. Later on my sister added that the other reason my mom wanted to come up there against my wishes was because when I was talking about it I was terrified. Which isn't true. I was a little nervous because it is surgery, but I was not freaking out. She just felt like her own feelings were more important, and that since she was my mother she was entitled to go up there despite my wishes and the health risk, because she was my mom, and my sister was my fucking hero, for pushing my side and trying to get my mom to understand that this isn't right. I think she would have went without telling my sister if the nurse didn't tell her she couldn't. So thank you nurses, you saved my ass. This isn't uncommon for my mom to do, and I'm glad that the nurses and my sister had my back, because she clearly wasn't thinking about my health or wishes at all, and it's only been 3 days since surgery, so a lot has happened in a short time. Edit. I was trying not to make this a book, but okay. To answer the people in the comments. Thank you. Next. So there was this one time back in 2015, it was a long break during October. I don't know if any of you have this, but my school had it every late October to early November, and the break was almost over. I decided to visit the local playground one last time before the end of break. The playground is usually crowded around 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. because there isn't much burning sun. So I sit down and I see a large group of kids near my age. I was 13 at the time. They were playing capture the flag, and as you would expect they would bump into each other. Some toddlers were riding scooters and would often go through the game even though the kids playing told them to not pass through the middle because it was a rough game. She just walks into the playground and gets on her phone talking to other Karens about what they would usually talk about. I didn't really care, I just wanted to breathe a bit, but she packed so much food and drinks they would take up the whole bench space until other people told them to move and they would just do it again. Her kid was just a normal kid playing around. But she doesn't watch her kid no matter what the fuck he was doing. The playground was on the 6th floor of our condominium, which was pretty high. He poked his head through the edge of the hole of the stone fence surrounding the playground. She still didn't care. At one point the kid runs through the middle field of the CTF game and gets bumped by one of the kids there. The kid didn't care and was helped up by the kid. The parent starts running towards the kid and screams, "Why did you bump my kid like that?" The kid then nervously talks and explains in a whispering voice in what I can only assume was, "We were playing and I bumped into him because we were running towards him." Everyone in the playground looks at the action and the parent pulls out her phone. She starts recording him confessing. He then carries his child, who by the way was not harmed in any way. She then screams at him, "How old are you?" He then responds with, "I am in 7th grade," and she exclaims, "Shouldn't you be more responsible since you're older?" Her kid looked like 9 or 10 and he was probably 12. The difference definitely wasn't that far. She then tells him to explain to everybody what he did, which he did in a really confident way. "I'm sorry for what I did. I bumped this kid while I was playing. I was truly at fault." She was still recording this BTW. I had a glimpse of what she titled her posters while she was in the elevator and I was a few inches away. I just looked up, "Kid hurt my young child by majorly hurting him." And I literally found the video in 5 minutes. She used Gawker apparently. She took it down a few days later because of harassment. Thank you. Next. Sorry if this gets a little jumbled or is hard to follow. I am a bit flustered, lol. Well, actually I'm pretty fucking mad. Not gonna lie. My son has been begging me to go to one of those indoor play places and I finally caved today, lol. I had been saving money for a couple weeks because I wanted him to have a great time there. He did for the most part. I paid for $20 worth of tokens and split it between my 2 kids. As I'm putting my 20 in the machine, in walks CBNDK. X starts asking his mom if he could have tokens and she said she didn't have any money. She tells him, "Maybe if you ask that nice lady she will give you some." Okay. That part was acceptable. I understand what it's like, so I said, "Sure buddy, here you go," and I gave him 10 tokens. His mom literally did one of those blinking really slowly things while sticking her nose up in the air, and said, "What do we look like to you? Some lowly beggars?" He gets a whole 2 or 3 games out of this. Gee thanks. Thought that was it? Nope. My kids run off and go play some games and I hadn't even gotten all the way to the table before I heard my child crying. EK was following my 4 years old around and every time my kid put a token in, this fucker would push him and take his turn, while his mom stood there holding her coat. I stayed on him like a hawk for the rest of the time we were there. TF is wrong with people these days. I had no problem hooking that kid up with a few games, but come on, teach him better than this. BTW, when I seen the kid pushing my son I stepped in. So sorry, I should have clarified that. I walked over and the kid went to his mom, so I just never left my kid's side after that to avoid it again.